All right. Well, thanks for coming back to the Bigfoot Society podcast. I have Kenzie Gleason with me today, which is awesome because she does a lot of really cool things. Thanks for coming on, Kenzie.
Of course, I'm happy to be here.
Totally. So I'm just going to read from, I found a few things. I mean, I think I know a lot about you. You're very involved with the community. And so I'm gonna explain what it is you do. So
Cool.
you're a cryptid investigator, paranormal investigator. You have your own podcast about cryptids called the Crypto Chats podcast, which is really cool. I'm a fan of it. And also, you're the co host of another one, which is the Manic, Pixie, Dream Ghouls. And you're also doing some other cool stuff too. But you are, I also want to shout out that you are extremely involved with like the cryptid community, and you do a lot of cool stuff. Like you're very involved with like the Clubhouse community and Instagram, all that good stuff. But
Yeah.
is there anything else that you would want to put in there, Kenzie, as well, that
I
you're
honestly
involved in?
think you kind of covered all of it because that's really like on like a day-to-day basis, that's like really all the stuff
Totally.
that I do. So I think you hit the nail on the head.
Awesome. And so let's start with talking about, so how was it that you got interested in cryptozoology to begin with?
So that started at a really early age for me, actually. My dad is a ghost hunter. He has been
Mm,
since he was a teenager, and he is in his 50s now.
wow.
And so growing up, I did a lot of paranormal investigation with my dad. But my dad's mom, my grandmother, was super interested in ufology.
Mm-hmm.
And when she started to get more into it, one of the big things that was popular at that time was the correlation between Bigfoot sightings and UFO sightings.
Totally.
So she kind of branched into cryptozoology from there. And she was a big part of my life, especially when I was a child. And so she kind of passed those stories down to me. And from there, I was already out in the field as an 8-year-old doing paranormal investigation with my dad. So from there, it kind of just grew into a love for cryptozoology as well. And I've just been out in the woods ever since.
That is awesome. I'm not gonna super dox you, but I'll say, like, so I can say you're in the New England area. That's
Yeah,
cool, right? Okay.
yeah.
And I grew up out there too in the Western Mass area, and like the stuff that you see, my goodness, like people from the other uh ends of the US do not know what old stuff is. Like you get to, like, you're walking around the Freedom Trail in Boston, or you're just walking through the woods and you
Mm-hmm.
come upon a house that's run down, or like a stone wall, or
Oh yeah.
cemeteries. You find the cemeteries and they're just hanging out there. Like
Oh yeah.
it's wild. It's
They're
wild.
everywhere. One of my favorite places to go, actually, I'm pretty open about the fact that I'm from New Hampshire,
Mm.
but there is an abandoned logging town up in the mountains
Oh.
of New Hampshire it's in this like town, the town's called Livermore, and
Hmm.
it's deep in the woods, and a lot of the foundations for the buildings are still there, but they're like completely overrun by the forest at this point. And
Oh,
in the summer and the fall, my friends and I like to go up there and try to re-find it because
that's cool.
we lose it every time. And it's a super nice area, but it's one of the examples of like something that's super old. I think the last time it had a population at all was in 1902. So
1902.
yeah.
That's 1 year before, you know what?
True.
1903. Family
Yeah.
or visitor. That's the one reference for the episode. Got it in. Um, that's so cool. Yeah, I miss New England. Of course, I'm out in the Midwest right now, but uh those abandoned towns, like in western central Mass, we had the Quabbin Reservoir, and
Hmm.
it's this huge reservoir that was like made, they had to flood out these towns. And it's wild because it's like you wouldn't know the towns are there because, one, they're out underwater, but it's like
Yeah.
it's just overgrown. It's so cool to find these things that are, lost to history, right?
Yeah.
But do you have a favorite cryptid from over the years?
That's a loaded question.
I know, right?
I've found in all of my research there is one cryptid I do not like. And it's that one that Sarah brought up on Clubhouse. I'm not going to say it because I don't want anybody to look into it because it's awful. Well, that's why I'm not going to say it, because it's terrible and I hate it.
The one that I had to edit out her part like Swiss cheese.
Yes.
We think you're the best, Sarah.
I love you so much, best. Sarah. No, I don't. That's the only one I have found that I don't like. Otherwise, like, I don't really have a favorite. I think there's a good aspect to all of them to me. And I don't know, they're all special in their own way. Although I am partial to New England-based cryptids.
Mm-hmm. I would say that, like, so in Clubhouse, when you and Alex Petikoff start going back and forth and swapping New England cryptid stuff, it's really cool. You guys are a force to reckon with for sure. But I was trying to think of, I was like, man, what's the first thing I can think of remembering Kenzie? And it was the time you shared about the Spectre Moose of Maine. That was really cool. Yeah.
I love that cryptid. It's one of the coolest ones out there. And he's so underrated.
He is. Then I grew up in, New England, and I never heard of it. And it's I had to go out to Iowa to hear it from someone.
I think
out in New England.
In New England, I think Massachusetts gets all of the limelight when it comes to their cryptids, and everything else kind of, not for any particular reason, but everything else kind of takes a back seat, which is why you don't hear about things like the Spectre Moose of Maine or the Wood Devils of Coos County and things like that.
Yeah,
totally. It's just because we've got Massachusetts and we have the Dover Demon and we have Pug Wedgies and we have all these other really big things that came out of Mass, and then everything else just kind of gets pushed to the side.
That's a great point. What would you say the main cryptids that New Hampshire has? What is New Hampshire mainly known for, would you say?
Kind of really. So New Hampshire has its fair amount of Sasquatch sightings. There's been a handful of Dogman sightings over the years. But I think mostly New Hampshire specific is the Wood Devils of Coos County. And then a little bit Puck Wedgies, not as much as Massachusetts, but because the land is all owned by the same indigenous tribe, I think it kind of gives them the ability to move around freely throughout it. So I think New Hampshire's roots are really more in the paranormal than anything.
Okay, interesting.
Because it's, a super old state. There's a lot of haunted locations here. It's tons of high strangeness. So we get a lot of UFO sightings, and we have a ton of ghost stories. And we kind of lack a little bit on the cryptid side, but the ones that we do have are wicked cool.
Oh, totally. It's you could go, I remember going into you could go into country stores and you'd have 10 different, ghost stories of New England books, or you guys have this weird thing called used bookstores out there, which for some reason they don't have in the Midwest.
That's
in
weird.
Iowa. But I miss those a lot because it's it's ghost books everywhere and crazy stuff, and it's good stuff. But I'm curious. So how do you explain what's the difference between a wood devil and Sasquatch?
So appearance wise, they're pretty different. And behaviorally, they're also really different. I think, and I've talked to Alex about this too, and him being the other New Hampshire native in the Clubhouse group, he we go back and forth about it sometimes, and him and I are on the same page about it. But we both think that wood devils are potentially in the Sasquatch family tree, but they're so different that they can't really be mistaken for a Sasquatch, because wood devils are about 7 feet tall, and the biggest difference between them and the standard Sasquatch is that they're really lean. They're really, really skinny. They're also gray in color, because their whole thing is that they kind of try to blend in with the trees in New England, and so they're really light gray in color to try to match the bark. Is that the right word?
Yeah, no, totally.
For some reason it sounded wrong when it came out of my mouth. And behaviorally, they're way more timid than a Sasquatch is usually known to be. And the wood devils have this kind of thing that they do where if you get too close to them, they kind of just scream at you in a, hey, back off, get away from me. And when you watch a cartoon and Bugs Bunny is hiding from the the hunter. I don't think
Totally.
that's right.
Totally. Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, and they're like going
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
the tree
Yep.
oppositely.
Yep.
So wood devils have been known to do something like that to try to get away
Mm.
from people because they don't want the human interaction.
Oh
And
man.
then if you do happen to run into one, they just kind of scream. And they're like, "Hey, get away from me." So
That's some creepy stuff, man.
yeah, so behaviorally they don't act. I guess like I don't think Sasquatches, at least as a whole, are like wildly aggressive or like, you know, adamantly like trying to pick a fight, but like they're
Mhm.
definitely a little bit more protective of their space than something like
Sure.
a wood devil that's just yelling at you, being like, "Hey, please don't."
If I'm like in the, so first off, it's like you go in the woods in northern New Hampshire and you're already like, I remember freaking out because it's like, oh, we're gonna find a moose and the moose is gonna like run us over because that's what you're
Yes.
told as a little kid. Like, you know, if there's
Moose
a
are
moose, like
terrifying.
they're not the smartest creatures and they'll walk right over your car. Like people don't understand that.
I
A
think
lot
they
of
are
people,
smart. I think they're just like aggressively mean.
interesting. Okay.
I don't think that they're dumb. I think they know exactly what they're doing and they're out to get
Ooh.
us all.
Oh man, they're mercenary tanks
Yeah, no,
for
really.
sure. Oh
Terrifying
man.
animals.
Whoa.
Well, and also,
That
New
puts a
Hampshire
spin
is
on it.
81% forest. So it's like
Really?
plenty of, yeah, it's I looked it up yesterday for Clubhouse. It was I think
Nice.
8.4 million acre, maybe 4.8 million acres. I think it might be 4.8 million acres of the state is wooded.
Wow.
So it's like
I
there's plenty of
totally could see it.
opportunities to get lost.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And there's like so many stories out there of like, if you like the 411 stuff, like, yeah, you can like totally like,
Mm-hmm.
I remember reading a book as a little kid, like Don Fendler, this young dude who got lost on well, the book is called Lost on a Mountain in Maine. I think he's like up in the Katahdin area, but they
Mm-hmm.
find him. But yeah, it always doesn't end like that,
Yeah, no.
unfortunately. But so let's see. There's another thing that we haven't gone over yet. So you got a really cool opportunity if we could talk about that for a little bit. So
Yeah.
what is a cool thing that you are doing this summer, if you don't mind sharing?
So I have a summer internship position at the International Cryptozoology Museum in Portland, Maine,
Yeah, it's
which
so
is
cool.
directed by Lauren Coleman, which
Mm-hmm.
is really cool. I get to be there a couple days a week and basically just like hang out at the
Wow.
museum. I get to talk to people about cryptozoology,
Oh
clean
man.
fingerprints off of the display cases, which
Yeah.
is actually more fun than you would think it was.
Okay.
Um, because I get to also look in the display cases while I'm cleaning. So I get
That
to,
is so
you
cool.
know, be sitting there looking at these exhibits while I'm also cleaning and making it enjoyable for the people that come to the museum. And it's really
Wow.
cool. I've been there a couple days so far. I absolutely love it. So that'll be my summer spent at the Cryptozoology Museum.
That is so cool. I was there, we were there like maybe a few years ago. So if you go back a few years, you can see I'm in the, I don't know if they still have the register that you can sign there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'll look
So
through it. I actually work tomorrow, so I'll go
I
and look
think
through
it
it, see if I
actually
can find
says
you.
Bigfoot. I think it says Bigfoot Society because that was
Perfect.
like just when I was starting, like the
Mm-hmm.
first time. So I didn't really like realize a lot of how that cool that museum was. Because
Yeah.
at that point, I'm like, oh, Bigfoot is cool. Not like, oh, this place has stuff from Ape Canyon. That's amazing. Like
Yeah.
there's a difference, you know?
We have a lot of really cool stuff there too. And like
Yeah.
sometimes I like will go and kind of look at stuff and be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this is in here. Like
Right.
that's crazy."
Oh yeah.
It's
Is
awesome.
there what is are there some items that, like, what are those items that are like, wow, this is just like, this is crazy that
I feel like
he
you're gonna
has
have to
this?
come in and find out. I
Well,
don't know if
that's
I'm
true. I
allowed to
don't want to
tell
give
anyone.
away you don't want to give away all of it, but maybe just one thing. Maybe just
Well,
one
we
thing.
do have, and I'm sure you've seen this on Instagram,
Yeah.
the 8 foot tall Bigfoot that everybody takes pictures
Oh yeah,
with.
totally.
I can't remember what Jean said his name is, but she gave him a name. And there's also the Bigfoot
Oh,
outside of the museum, and I know his name
that's
is
true.
Elwood.
I did not know that that has a name. That is new
Mm-hmm.
for me. Very
I
cool.
think I can't remember. It's like I think it starts with a C, maybe. I don't
Okay.
know. Jean said it very quickly, so I don't remember what the selfie one inside the museum is called. But the really tall wooden carving of the Bigfoot outside of the museum, his name is Elwood.
That's amazing. That's cool. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. There's some. So if you're gonna go to the International Cryptozoology Museum, don't even look through the pictures online. Don't spoil it for yourself,
it's not
because
worth
it's like
it. So much better.
It's not
in
worth
person.
it. It's definitely not worth it. It's so cool. Man, I'm jealous because like you're gonna be sitting there one day and it's like the coolest person is gonna walk in and you'll be like, oh my goodness, it's the coolest person ever that I would not be expecting. Wow.
So far it's been amazing. It's a great opportunity, and it's definitely a dream of mine to not only work in that museum, but get to talk to people who have, every level of interest in cryptozoology about cryptozoology. Having people walk up to me and be like, hey, can you explain this thing to me? I'm like, me? You're asking me? Like, of course I will.
Yeah.
And I love it. It feels so cool. Good.
Do you have the ability, I don't know. So is that a thing where like it's encouraged, where it's like someone comes up to you and like, hey, talk to me about this exhibit? Like you can go and do that? That's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, wow. I was asked the other day to go around and kind of look at everything and pick out some highlights for me that I like can definitely talk to people about, that I know about. And then pick out some other things that I'm not as familiar with to do some research on, so that when somebody does ask me, I can tell them. And it was nice because my first day there, I had a couple come up to me and ask me if Bigfoot sightings were specific to California. They were looking at an exhibit about Bluff Creek, and asked me if that was something that was specific to California. And I got to be like, it's actually not. It's like, we've got Sasquatches all over the world. Like the United States has heavy Bigfoot sightings all over the country. And it was really cool because you get to see them like light up and be like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's really nice.
Or you could even be like, hey, where are you from? Check this out. Let's go to VFRO website. Hey, look at all this is in your area. Like you totally blow their minds. Like
we had some people then on Monday who actually, I believe some of them were from Illinois. We had a couple people from New York, and just like all over the country. So I was like, this is so cool.
Oh, totally. Oh man. I love that. I am super, super pumped that you're able to have this opportunity. And there's some cool people that work up there that I want to talk to eventually. It'll happen someday. I know you manifest it. And like, I think Nate Brislin is a cool dude. I don't know him yet, but I just have that feeling that he's
very cool.
The next
it's a
cool
correct
dude.
Feeling.
Yeah. There's some cool up and comers in the cryptozoology field, definitely, or just like community. It's a community, right?
Sure.
Totally. Oh man, very cool. What is it? What's the whole Manic Pixie Dream Ghouls about? What if you were to do a summary on that? What's that all about?
That's a hard question because who knows?
Okay.
It's a lot of like lore and cryptids based in lore, explained through the eyes of Sarah and I, which is chaotic. But also it's explained in a way that's easy to understand, which I like. And I think Sarah and I do a good job of like putting out information in a way that is easily digestible, but also fun. We've done Bat Boy from Weekly World News.
Yeah, classic. Classic.
We did, what have we done? We did Pukwudgies. We did Weebleheads. Our next episode, which I'll spoil it, that's fine, is actually on Spring-Heeled Jack and the Black Shook.
Oh yeah.
Those are two UK cryptids.
That's true.
I mean, Spring-Heeled Jack had like a brief stint in the United States, but we're not going to talk about that.
So that's one. That's what I've never really looked into, because I'm like, well, I'm too busy with like I stick to like actual like unknown animal, like that's more my thing, right? But yeah, there's some weird stuff out there, so I'm glad someone's like covering the weird stuff. That's cool.
Well, and that's like on my solo podcast, like my main focus is obscure North American cryptids.
I
So
love
it's
it.
nice to be able to have a space where I can branch out, do stuff from across the world, maybe things that aren't necessarily considered cryptids, but like kind of, toe the line a little bit. Um, and it's fun because one way or another, they all kind of link it together. So
The thing I like about actually, I've heard multiple people say this about the crypto chats is that it's like the perfect amount of time for if you're like usually like a normal commute
yeah.
is like 15-20 minutes, and it's like it's perfect. I've heard Greg say that. I've
Mm-hmm.
multiple people have said that.
That
In
makes me
fact,
feel so good.
hold on one second. This is totally unprofessional, but because we set this up, I want to make sure that there are no questions. Holy mackerel. Okay. Well, we got questions. I'm gonna
Yay!
look through them real quick. Okay. Let's face it, Kenzie, people are big fans. So because I
Yay!
put this up with like 10 minutes notice.
I
And
know,
like
I saw
usually
that.
when I do this, it's like people they have like a day or two and it's like nothing. But anyways,
Mhm.
okay, Strangeology. So Jeff,
Okay. Hello,
cool
Jeff.
dude. He says, what's the best place to find a puckwudgie?
Oh, that's a good
Hmm.
one. Freetown Fall River State Forest, I think, is probably your best bet. That area, East
Hmm.
Freetown, Massachusetts, and also this is the bottom right corner of the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts. So it's Pukwudgie territory. East Freetown had a point where they had so many Pukwudgie sightings in the span of 6 months that they put up signs outside of the forest that said Pukwudgie Crossing on them.
Really?
Yeah. So that's
What?
like definitely your best place
Wow.
to go if you want to see a Pukwudgie.
What time frame was that? Like year
I think like
wise?
2016.
Really? Oh
I could
wow.
be wrong. It's gone now.
Okay.
I went
Okay.
the last time I went down there was the end of fall last year.
Hmm.
Kind of closed out the season on my Pukwudgie investigation before it got too cold, and
Wow.
the signs have been gone for a long time. And I'm kind of sad
Okay.
because I'm like, if someone was going to steal them, I wanted that someone to be me because I want one of those.
That's
But
true. Although, kids, stealing signs is really not fun and don't do it. Okay.
for legal reasons, that was a joke.
Exactly. No, that's fine. I have the paranoid disclosure at the end of my episode, so I'm good.
That's fair.
Although it's like whatever. But man, that whole I if you know I think I've said this around you a few times, but like when I was out there, I wasn't into the whole cryptid thing. So it's like there's so much I missed. So really I
Mhm.
just need to go back and I need to like I've never gone to that part of Massachusetts where the Puckwudgie, like, the Bridgewater Triangle is like,
Yeah. Well, you get the added
you know,
bonus too that there's so
yeah.
many other things in that area. Like
Mm,
that's why it's called the Bridgewater Triangle and why it's singled out is like it's an
totally.
area of like crazy high strangeness.
That's true.
And there's a ton of UFO sightings. We got Puckwudgies, we have Sasquatches, we have
Mm-hmm.
Thunderbirds. There's
Crazy.
things about banshees and poltergeists, and also the Freetown Fall River State Forest is
Okay.
only a couple miles away from the Lizzie Borden house.
Oh snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff going on in that area that kind of adds to the phenomena that everybody's seeing there. So it's definitely worth going to.
That's one of those things where it's like it doesn't matter who you are, but if you grew up in Massachusetts, it's like you heard it as a nursery rhyme. You're like, oh, Lizzie Borden, 40 wax. I won't say the whole
Yep.
thing, but it's like, and it's like you're not thinking of it as a little kid. At least I wasn't. I wasn't realizing
No,
what I
me
was saying.
neither.
But it's like that's terrible. And then like out
Mm-hmm.
in Iowa, we have oh geez, I'm losing all credibility. There's the Velisca house out here, which I'm not
Okay.
a big fan of, but it's another axe murder house. There's a famous
Interesting.
Ghost Adventures episode
I
where
actually feel like maybe I've seen that
it's
because
the one when Zach is on the ground and he's like, if you're here, totally take this axe and
yes, well,
put it
I
on
have
my
seen that
head.
one.
And I'm like, dude, Zach, if there's an earthquake in Iowa, you're dead, man. It doesn't matter if there's
Yeah.
ghosts or not. Like, dude,
Oh
but
yeah. Ghost
there,
Adventures is one of my guilty pleasure TV shows because I
it
know it's
is too,
garbage, but I
Zach.
love it.
Zach, you're always welcome to come on. The invite is out there totally because you totally listen. He's just joined the Patreon. He didn't join the Patreon. Could
I
you
just
imagine
got
that?
like really, it took me a moment to process what you said, but that would have been so sick.
No, he totally didn't. But someday maybe I will chat with him. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll get to
We'll
that
see.
point. It's okay.
We'll get to that point. It's a slow burn, you know. It's a slow burn up to Zach Baggins. But wow. I've got a few questions for you here.
Cool.
What you listen to the podcast sometimes, and this like first question, I'm almost to the point where I've been so burned by it that I'm almost not wanting to ask anymore, but I'm going to ask it, and it's awkward. I'm going to ask it. So what should I ask about you that I didn't know enough to ask?
I think when it comes to like what I do and like my part in the community, I think that's it. But like, I don't know. I feel like I have some things about me that could surprise people.
I feel so too.
You want to know that?
Totally, yeah.
Well, I really like drag.
Okay,
drag is
cool.
like I was part of the drag community in southern New Hampshire for a really long time.
That's cool.
I've been put in drag once.
Wow.
It looked terrible. It was not for me.
Gotcha.
I did and I would love to do this again, you know, after COVID, and once there's an opportunity to. I took part in a staged wrestling match. That was a whole show.
Really? That's cool.
Okay. And it was me and my best friend. We were goons for a supervillain. And our part was to drag one of the announcers into the ring and kind of just beat him up. And going along with the story, I ripped off his arm, which was a cardboard tube with a hand on the end of it, and kind of hit him with it a bunch of times. And we ended up becoming goons for the ultimate supervillain at the end, to which we had to drink fake blood and spit it on the crowd.
Oh, so this is intense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is
I was covered in fake blood for weeks.
This is more like, this feels like backyard wrestling.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. It was a fundraiser event for a DIY venue in the area that I live in.
Okay.
So
cool.
It was really fun. I also, let's see. I feel like people are always surprised by this, but I was like a punk for a very long time.
I'm not surprised.
And like a hardcore kid, but like I feel like
not surprised.
Sometimes I post stuff and people are like, "What do you mean you like this band?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
Well, first off, people should back off, because it's like, who are you to say that? Oh, Jeremiah loves the movie Ernest Goes to Camp. Like, back off. Like,
yeah, whatever.
You know, like, who cares? If you like it and you're into it, that's awesome.
True. I also really like pop music. A big fan of pop music.
Okay, how about Pop Goes Punk? Do you remember those CDs?
Punk Goes Pop.
Yes, those are the ones.
Yes,
that's some classic
stuff. I still
stuff.
listen to those.
Okay.
Also, I was Twitter famous when I was 15. That's a fun fact about me.
Oh, I think I vaguely remember.
We talked about this briefly.
Yeah. This is a cool story.
I was Twitter famous when I was 15, and I was like very big in the metalcore scene. And a lot of people kind of were just like, Kenzie's really cool. We really like her. And I made a lot of friendships with a lot of like dudes in bands. And it was not as creepy as it sounds. I promise. None of them made advances on me. We were just friends. Very cool. But for probably like 5 or 6 years of my life, I didn't pay to get into shows. I got guest listed to all of them. I got to meet a lot of really cool people, including like my all-time favorite band, and like got to have a lot of really cool experiences just because people thought I was funny on the internet, which was interesting because I was 15 and had nothing actual interesting to say. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else. I have a cat.
I've seen that. So this is why you need to subscribe to the YouTube. Because if you go to the video on YouTube, you can see this cat go back and forth like 100 times.
Yep, she's down over here.
Yep.
Yeah, she's cool. Probably sitting on the bathroom floor. It's one of her
okay, so that was solid. That was actually that was some solid background about Kenzie. That if the listeners don't really know you now, they're like, oh, she's got a lot of cool stuff going on besides cryptozoology. So
I am a multifaceted person for sure.
Oh, totally. What are you most excited about right now? This could be anything.
Okay, so I'm really excited about this because it's only a couple weeks away. My friends and I are going down to Maryland for Sarah's Snallygaster whiskey tasting event.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and as of
Oh, wow.
literally yesterday, we kind of finalized those plans and booked our hotel.
Nice.
So we'll be driving down. I'm so excited to see Sarah. There's going to be axe throwing. So
That's
excited to
really
throw an
fun.
axe.
Yeah.
Sarah's going to show us Goatman's Bridge, and
Oh, snap.
she's also going to bring us to the Civil War Medicine Museum,
Okay.
which sounds
Cool.
neat.
Yeah.
She's going to show us around the area that she lives, which I'm really excited about. So that's like the one thing I'm super stoked about at this moment.
Actually, let's plug this event. So
Yeah.
so it's an event put on by Sarah
Yes.
with the Snally the actual
I think
name.
it's Dragon Distillery.
So Dragon
I believe.
Distillery plus Sarah runs the American Snallygaster Museum, which is the actual name, right? And they're doing like a combo where they're doing a tasting event.
Yeah, so it's a Snallygaster branded whiskey, basically.
Oh, okay.
It is Saturday, May 8th in Frederick, Maryland. If you are hearing this and you're interested, please message me because I will send you the link to the event. It's free. It's going to be like drink tasting and a bunch of vendors, and also axe throwing. Again, just going to mention that again because that's sick. And I'm really excited because I can't wait to see Sarah. that's the highlight for me.
No, that'll be
Sarah.
cool. That'll be the first time that you guys have actually like. I don't know if any of us have really, that whole COVID thing, but
I feel like it'll be definitely one of the best days when we all do finally get to meet.
I think so. Although it sounds like CryptidCon is going to be super crazy. Most of the peeps are going to be there. It sounds
we're going to figure out how to get you there, Jeremiah. We're going to make it happen.
Hey guys, you know how you can get me places? This is a crazy plug for me, but go on my Etsy and buy the little stickers I'm making, because literally when I sell out of those stickers, hey, I'm right next to Conjure Dust. Look at that.
Yeah.
Those are really, you can't get them anymore. But seriously, so what I'm doing is I'm doing like, I'm literally having the stickers made and then sent to my house, and then I'm like selling them through Etsy. Then I get those sold. Then I buy more, and then I buy more, and then I go to the Mothman Festival. It's as easy as that, guys. So, yeah, that's if you want to see me at cool places.
Can you start a GoFundMe for CryptidCon so that we can all just give you money? Just
I gotta put in the work.
Specifically,
I gotta put in the work. I don't know. Okay. GoFundMe feels a little weird, but yeah, maybe.
Get Jeremiah to CryptidCon. We just listen. Everyone else is going to be there. You got to come hang out with us.
I know, right? Yeah, we'll see. We'll cross our fingers. Our fingers. Next question. Maybe I'll make this a little different, but the normal question is, what are the top books someone getting into Bigfoot should have on their bookshelf? I will, if you want, we can make that into cryptozoology.
Yeah, I think I like Bigfoot. We all know this about me, but my main focus is not Bigfoot, and that being so, I'm gonna expand a little.
Awesome.
But Cryptozoology A to Z by Lauren Tillman.
Totally.
Great book. I use that in reference for my research all the time. It's awesome. Chasing American Monsters. I don't know how to say
that's a good encyclopedia one too. Yeah, show the YouTube audience that Kenzie is totally researching hardcore. Look at all those Post-its.
I just picked up a couple books at the museum the other day, and I'm gonna go get them because they're just inside my room.
Totally, yeah, go for it.
But they're great.
I'm gonna check for questions. Should I ask any more of these questions? I don't know.
I just come back with my whole stack of books, but some good ones are Mysterious America.
Okay.
Another Lauren Coleman book.
Yep.
This one, this is Cryptozoology A to Z.
Yeah. So I was reading through that the other day too. He needs to put a second edition out on that.
I agree.
Because it's like there's like Olympic Project, NAWAC, all that stuff. Like there's so much stuff. But
maybe I'll pass that along.
Yeah.
When I go to the museum.
Are those signed too?
Some of them, yeah. I have
cool.
I think Mysterious America is signed.
Nice.
I just grabbed whatever was on, but yeah, this one's signed.
Rockin'.
I also have, these ones aren't like These are very like location specific and like cryptid specific, but also really good. I've been reading this all day. Cryptid Creatures of Florida.
Oh yeah, Scott Marlowe. I think didn't he just pass away this last year? I think. I'm pretty sure he did. That
sad.
looks like a really good book though.
It is great. I've been reading it all day. I read a bunch of stuff about like deep sea cryptids off of Florida, which was really good. This Lauren Coleman book about Mothman and other like winged weirdos. And then this is also a great book. Sarah sent this to me. This Mysteries and Lore of Western Maryland.
Oh yeah, I have that one too. Yeah, it's really good, isn't it?
It's very specific to like Maryland and like the Maryland roots of a lot of these cryptids, which is my only qualm because there's a couple cryptids that have like roots in other places that isn't mentioned, but that's like a very specific like nitpicky thing for me. So
yeah, I actually I interviewed Susan, I believe is her name, Susan Fair, the author of that book, about Snallygaster. Like there's info in that book that she found that is not in any other book I could find on Snallygaster. Like she did some crazy investigative journalist into old newspaper stuff. Like she's good. Yeah.
No, I liked reading it. I was like, this is great. But I am very like, the way I do research and the way I present research is just different. So I was like a little nitpicky about it, but that's a me problem. That's not anyone else problem.
That's actually that's a good talking point. So that's something that started to come up in the interviews, and I really like it because one, we need to, so current age cryptozoologists, I believe, need to realize that all the information is not on the internet. That's huge.
Very true.
But how are you viewing investigating and researching?
The way I like to research is, especially when I do research for my podcast, when I do research specifically for my investigations, it's a little bit different. Okay. But when I research for my podcast, I like to focus on like the actual origins of some of these cryptids, whether it be indigenous or German in the example of the Snallygaster, or Dutch in the example of Tommyknockers, things like that. I'd like to like really get down to like the roots of the cryptids, just because I feel like it gives it some necessary background. And when I'm presenting it on my podcast, I like to format it that way and just be like, here's a little extra background about the Snallygaster, for example. It's like, you know, this was a legend brought over by German immigrants, and that's how it kind of stuck its claws in Maryland.
Totally.
But when I go out and do field investigation, I just research like things specific to that area and like information specific to that area, because that's where I'm going to be. And that's like, I mean, there's factors that are all out there, but they might not apply to where I am specifically. So I like to try to weed out and like only focus on like what is, I guess, relevant to where I actually am.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's smart. A few smaller questions to get your viewpoints on certain things. So, what is Bigfoot according to how you view it?
I think Bigfoot is a flesh and blood creature. I know literally last night I was like, I don't know where I stand on that. And afterwards I was like, no, I do know where I stand on that. I think it's a flesh and blood creature.
That's funny because it's not out yet. So like, that would be really funny if you hadn't said something, because then like, whatever. Calm down, people. Calm down.
I mean, you know, sometimes on Clubhouse, I just start speaking and I don't really know where I'm going with it. So Clubhouse, I get there eventually, but it's fine. Yep. But I definitely think that Bigfoot is flesh and blood. I think that the Sasquatch is like just an undiscovered primate type creature.
I agree. Yep, that's pretty much my viewpoint as well. But hey, it's cool because on this podcast we get all sorts of viewpoints and it's a fun time.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about.
It is. It's fun, and you can, even if it's like, so you're talking to someone and they're totally like not aligning with what you view, you can still get stuff from them. They can still get stuff from you, which is cool.
Yeah.
So
we're all here to learn.
Exactly. Is Mothman good or something else, or what are your viewpoints on Mothman? That whole thing.
I don't know really where I land when it comes to Mothman, because I think that Mothman being seen as a harbinger of doom does kind of make a little bit of sense. He did happen to show up only before really horrible things happened.
Mm,
But I don't know if I necessarily think that that was his whole purpose, was to be like an omen of bad things.
mm,
I don't know. I think if we had a whole bunch of modern Mothman sightings. I know we had the Chicago ones, but if we had more than just the initial, Point Pleasant sightings and then the bridge collapse and stuff, I think like we could all form a more solid opinion on it. You know, it's like I feel
hmm.
like for me at least, there's just not enough out there for me to have like a definitive answer for this question.
I get it, and that's okay. That's fine. I will say this, in case people aren't all about the YouTube content, maybe hold off on putting the baked beans around the Mothman statue so it doesn't get taken down.
I do
I'm
think
just gonna
that's
say
so funny though.
it's hilarious, but
So funny.
I will be so mad if it gets taken down and before I get there, just because of some dang baked beans. My goodness, it will be
Oh my
like
god.
flames out of my hands
I would
anger.
be surprised if
But
they ever actually took it down. Like I
I don't
really
know.
like
I
I know
don't
we
know.
talked about this on the like five
Yeah, we
minute
did.
news,
Yep.
but I don't know. I really feel like enough people would probably sign the petition to get him back up there that like
Oh yeah,
it might
totally.
be a
Yeah.
worthless like it might not be worth the effort to take him down just to have to put him back up.
I don't know if you were in, I can't remember where I talked about this, but it was so long ago. You know, Alibaba, it's like a website where you can buy stuff directly from Chinese distributors.
Oh, I didn't know that. No.
So you can.
Cool.
And so I was really bored one night and I was looking up different cryptids. Supposedly, so I looked up Mothman. Supposedly, you can buy a life-size replica of the Mothman statue and have it delivered to your house.
Wait, that's important to
And
me.
I want to have money raised for that to see how terrible this replica is. Or maybe it's the same, like, what if it was the same exact replica? Like, it would be amazing. But,
That would be
anyways,
great. How
yeah.
much was it?
It was thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh, come on.
I know.
I want to
So
buy it for my living room.
totally. That would be so, make like a bird bath out of it or something.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about Dog Man? Is you
Terrifying.
mentioned, yeah, terrifying, right?
Terrifying.
Terrifying.
I
Hmm.
I think that there is a very good chance that Dogman exists. I don't want to meet him. I want him to stay away from me. There are very few cryptids I'm actually like terrified to run
Mm-hmm.
into in the woods. And like Dogman is number one for sure. I don't want
Number
anything to
one.
do with him. I want him to stay away from me. And when I learned that there were like a substantial amount of Dogman sightings in New Hampshire, I was like,
Yeah,
I
that's
can never go to
crazy.
the woods again. I was like legitimately
So
terrified.
here's the thing. Uh, you hear stories about like, oh, this Bigfoot was nice and ate an apple pie and then left you a bunch of marbles and was whistling Andy Griffith. But you never hear the story where it's like, oh, Dogman was such a cool dude and played Connect Four with me, and then bingo. Like it's always like Dogman will mess you up.
I think Dogman probably has like a really nice relationship with Moose, and that's why they have such a bad attitude. They've learned from the Moose, and now they're mean to humans.
And someone amazing do like there's gotta be like some like Dogman Moose combo just like messing up the woods. I don't know. There's something there. Maybe it's
I
like
don't know.
that feels like a weird meta zoo thing. But
Mm-hmm.
um what do you think? Is there so what's the possibility of living dinosaurs? What are your thoughts on that?
No,
No, it's out.
no,
It's out. There's
I
no raptors in Puerto Rico.
no.
Okay.
My roommates bring this up to me all the time because they know I hate it. I
Mm.
hate the
Oh, you hate
theory
it. Okay.
that anything could have survived extinction. Now, I don't hate the theory that things could be descendants of
Hmm.
prehistoric creatures. I
Okay.
don't think it's unrealistic to think, because we're all a descendant of something that lived way, way long ago. You know,
Okay.
like modern animals and modern wildlife that we have are
Sure.
all descendants of something. And so I don't think that's crazy. But I refuse to believe that there is a prehistoric dinosaur running around anywhere that has
In the
just
Congo.
survived. No, I
Not in the
refuse
Congo.
to.
Oh,
The
wow.
only, and you know
Okay.
what? Maybe I have to rethink this because the coelacanth is like a prehistoric fish that like was thought to be extinct for 65 million years and like is very much still around. So like maybe
True.
I'm wrong, but like when it comes to like, oh, there's a cryptid in Australia that's like, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to remember the name of it.
I don't know any Australian cryptids except for the Yowie.
It
So
starts with a
I'm right
B.
there
It's
with
like
you.
Burap or something. I don't know.
Bunyip?
No, it's not the bunyip.
No.
It's something
Okay.
different, and it's literally a dinosaur. And I'm like, I don't think so,
Real? Oh,
sir. I
yeah.
think
That
we would
sounds
see
really
that.
familiar.
They
Yeah.
did. There was an episode of it on Destination Truth with Josh
That's
Gates.
why. Yeah.
Mhm.
Josh Gates.
Love him.
Someday.
Hmm.
Someday.
We'll get there. Along with Zach Baggins, we'll get there. But yeah, I don't like the dinosaur theory. I am not here for the dinosaur theory, and I hate it a lot. And yeah, I know people bring it up to me sometimes because they know I don't like it. But
well, here's the thing.
don't
It's
like
like,
it.
you know, they're going to be cloned because stuff keeps melting up in Siberia and they keep finding more stuff. And then it's like, you know, that's why I'm like, okay, we'll leave it at that. That's a different podcast. Sorry. I was about to go a little weird, but it's fine. Maybe there'll be dinosaurs in the future, maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah.
What is your top evidence for Bigfoot? What do you consider the top evidence?
I'm a really strong believer in the Patterson Gimlin footage. I really am. I know that it's
Awesome.
something that's been debated a bunch, but I personally think that it holds some validity, and I think that that's like a real piece of evidence. But also just like how many footprints there are, like how many like casts of footprints have been made. I think that's like a really solid piece of evidence. It's like they're coming from all over the globe, and
Yeah.
there's, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know.
My top evidence is the documentary Sasquatch on Hulu.
I went into that being like, this is going to be so great. It's going to be about a murderous Sasquatch. And then I was like, okay, weed.
Okay, so we won't spoil. Well, okay, I am going to spoil one part. So close your ears if you had time to watch it. Yeah. So did you watch the first episode?
I watched all of it.
Oh, you watched all? I haven't finished it yet. But
yes,
so the first episode is like really, there's a lot of Bigfoot in it.
And yeah, I was impressed with some of the people that they got on the show. I was like, this is so sick.
The funniest part is like when Bob Hieronymus is like, yeah, and he doesn't even like blah 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 anymore, and
doesn't even wave at me.
His wife is like, well, actually, he waved the other day, Bob. It's like, yeah, Bob, take that, dude.
That little feud between them is so funny to me. I was talking to my roommates about it afterwards because I was like, you know, Bob Hieronymus is the one who said he wore the Bigfoot suit. And I was like, these two in this documentary had me cracking up because
Bob
Gimlin was like not having it. And Bob Hieronymus was like, he doesn't even wave at me anymore. I was like, this is so funny. Yeah.
I was like, I would watch. Did you ever watch the documentary King of Kong?
I don't think so.
Okay. Or like, it feels like there should be a movie starring the two of them and like their crazy adventures and like,
I think I agree.
Playing checkers, but like, hey, remember the time you said I hoaxed this thing and blah, blah, blah. Like, it would be so good.
Yeah. It's like, because they like hate each other, but kind of still like
I don't know if I think Bob Gimlin, I don't know if
I think there's some resentment there.
There's something there, but I just think Mr. Gimlin's the heart of gold. Heart of gold. I've never met him. I'm just, that's by everything I'm seeing. But anywho. Wow. I'm so glad that one, I was able to get you on the podcast because it's like you definitely have been on the list all along. Ever since I've heard the Spectre Musa Man, I was like, wow, Kenzie knows their stuff. I got to get her story. So I'm glad that you you had some free time to come on tonight. It's really, really good time. Do you mind doing a quick overview, or just an overview of how people can keep up to date with stuff that you are doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have 3 Instagram pages you can follow if you'd like.
I don't know how you do that. My goodness.
Well, Sarah runs the other podcast one.
Okay.
And if you notice,
Gotcha.
I don't post on the Crypto Chats podcast one that much because I just am tired.
Fair enough.
So my personal Instagram is at Cryptid Baddie.
Mhm.
I have the at the Crypto Chats podcast. That is my solo podcast page. And then I have at Manic Pixie Dream Ghouls. And that one is my shared podcast with Sarah Cooper. That one has less about me and more about our chaotic project. But
Right.
And I also have a Twitter as well. And I post about, random theories and stuff on there. And that's at Cryptid Baddie. So those are some good places that you can kind of keep in touch with me.
Rock and roll. Definitely check out all of Kenzie's stuff. And if you want to get involved with the conversation, definitely you can contact myself if you have an iPhone at this time, and we can get you on Clubhouse, and we chat every Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Central, and other times. So you can hang out with us and chat about cryptids and stuff. And hopefully by the end of next month, Android should be available on that. We'll see. Yeah. That'll open up the floodgates. But yeah, so Kenzie is gonna stick around for a little bit longer for the Patreon side of the podcast, which you can hear her. She's going to share a few extra stories, and you can hear that for $5 a month to support the podcast. So thank you for doing that, Kenzie. But thank you again for coming on and hanging out.
Thanks for having me.